Today's talk is titled Self-Blessing, to be delivered by the Reverend Rod Richards. Rod is the minister of the Unitarian Universalist San Luis Obispo, having been called to this ministry in 2012. He served as vice president of the UU Ministers Association from 2019 to 2022. As he looks forward towards retirement, he is deeply grateful to all those who faithfully keep the flame of this living tradition burning, and he is honored to have served as an ordained UU minister for over 20 years. The world is in desperate need of the best we can offer. May we rise to the task with humility, compassion, and courage. Rod.
Thank you, Rick. Hello, everybody. It is good to be here. Everything flowers from within of self-blessing, though sometimes it is necessary to reteach a thing its loveliness. Self-blessing. I have to admit that I was a little uneasy with this title for my sermon today. Self-blessing sounds a little self-ish, self-absorbed. With all that is happening in our community, in our country, and across the world, this is hardly a time to be focused on oneself, right? And who am I to bless myself? Now, some of this uneasiness comes from my background, Midwestern, Scandinavian, Lutheran stock. We might be described as self-deprecating, self-effacing, sometimes self-erasing. We would not likely engage in anything called self-blessing. We do our best to blend in. It is polite in the normal course of events and in daily encounters with other people to do our best to make others believe that we are not actually there at all. No, don't mind me. You just go on about your business. I don't need a thing. Don't make a fuss. But it is also true that this apparent humility that we exhibit is not always gentle and kind. This humility is not always even, humble. It can sometimes take on a more combative tone. If my ancestors wrote a self-help book, which they would never do because writing a self-help book sounds downright selfish, and if you thought half as much about other people as you do yourself, the world would be a better place. But if they did write a self-help book, it would not be entitled, I'm okay, you're okay. It would be something more like, I'm not okay, but you're dang sure not okay either, no matter what you think. And with a title like that, you probably wouldn't really need to read the book, and who wants to waste all that time with a book anyway? I heard the famous Bible verse many times, love your neighbor as yourself, though it was not seen as an affirmation of love for oneself, but rather was translated as you should love your neighbor as much as you already obviously love yourself. So it has taken a while for me to untangle selfishness from loving oneself and to see the direct connection between loving oneself and loving one's neighbor in the widest sense of the word. That lesson began some time ago. I don't know how many of you have read All I Really Need to Know, I Learned in Kindergarten, or how many know that the author Robert Fulghum was a Unitarian Universalist minister for 22 years. This led me to consider writing a follow-up. Things I never wanted to know but learned anyway in junior high. Some of those things, difficult lessons, have served me well. Often witnessing and sometimes suffering through bullying, I began to understand that though this behavior appeared to be enacted by people who were very sure of themselves, it actually arose from a lack of self-confidence, from insecurity, and sometimes self-hatred. This was a very satisfying revelation at the time. It didn't change their behavior at all, but I remember being happy knowing that quite possibly they felt miserable, which doesn't say a whole lot for my capacity for compassion at the time. The deeper revelation waiting for me was recognizing that wishing them misery, delighting in whatever cosmic punishment I could conjure in my imagination, or any misfortune they may suffer in reality, all of that arose from my own insecurity, my own lack of self-confidence. When I feel miserable about myself, I often spread misery or desire it for others. When I feel rotten about myself, wittingly or unwittingly, I tend to make or attempt to make other people feel rotten about themselves. When I lose sight of the beauty within myself, it is easy to dismiss the beauty that lies within you. Whereas, if I can nurture clear-eyed compassion for myself, it becomes a source of compassion for others. And that's the thing. I am not, I am talking about self-blessing today, not because I want to turn away from the world and toward myself. I am talking about self-blessing today because in engaging with this world, in seeking to repair what is being broken every day, I don't want to spread misery. There's enough of that happening. Because if I am to let my light shine, and I believe we all must let our lights shine, not in any sappy or sentimental way, but as a means of survival and an act of solidarity, if I am to let my light shine, I must believe it exists. I must uncover it. I must come to know it and to know myself, and dare I say it, to love myself. If we are to resist the ugliness that is unleashed in this world, we must reacquaint ourselves with the beauty within us, among us, and around us. We are here to abet creation and to witness to it, writes Annie Dillard in a passage contained in our hymnal, to notice one another's beautiful face and complex nature. And that can sound like a pretty sentiment, but this practice is not simply about aesthetic appreciation nor a feel-good community exercise, but so that we can nurture the capability to notice beauty, to celebrate it, to call it forth when it is hiding, to defend it when it is being threatened, to sing one another songs when they have been forgotten, to bless ourselves and one another, and to bless the world, a world full of people that are sorely in need of blessing. And while my Midwestern Scandinavian Lutheran roots may understandably question the notion that I should think that I can bless the world, Unitarian Universalist theologian and scholar Rebecca Parker reminds me that your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. I can choose to curse the world or to bless the world. Those are my choices. And Lord knows, I have sometimes cursed the world without stopping to question my right to do so. So why can't I choose to bless it? And how can I choose to bless it unless there is something that flowers from within of self-blessing. Unless there's a river flowing in my soul telling me that I'm somebody. Unless there is something that assures me that I have a blessing to bestow, a light to shine, a song to sing. One of the unfortunate but helpful lessons from junior high was that dehumanization, however casually carried out, spreads to infect everyone in its wake, unless there is that which flowers from within of self-blessing. Unless there is an awareness of beauty sufficient to challenge the ugliness. Unless there are those willing to teach and reteach people, victims and perpetrators, their loveliness. Noticing, witnessing, testifying to beauty, this is not frivolous work. At our best, we here nurture within ourselves the awareness of beauty and thus also open ourselves to that which is hard, that which is tragic, that which is unjust. Choosing to bless the world means that we have committed ourselves to action. To see the light within, we must uncover it and let it shine. Finding compassion for ourselves, nurturing love at our center, means we will share that love with others, as love does not exist in isolation. And all of that together causes us to dare to believe that what we do matters, even though how and when it may matter, who and what it may impact are not things we can know beforehand. It means risking having hope. Cannell's poem that you heard in the reading, St. Francis and the Sow. St. Francis of Assisi, who is said to have a special connection to animals, and all of nature, reteaches this animal its loveliness by putting his hand on the creased forehead of the sow and telling her in works and in touch blessings of earth on the sow. Telling this creature in works and in touch that you are somebody, that affirmation of dignity traveling through its great broken heart like love. Though my extended family is decidedly not Catholic, the stories about St. Francis made the leap into Lutheranism without too much trouble, and so I like to think that they would love the light humor, the earthiness, the literal groundedness of this poem's picture of self-blessing. As much as they may have argued against the concept, they are a part of that which flowers within me. They help me to find a light within. They contributed to my song, and they remind me that whatever I think self-blessing is, it is decidedly not all about me. It is about choosing to bless the world. Rebecca Parker writes, the choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with the intention of doing good. It is an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery abide. There is an embrace of kindness that encompasses all life, even yours. So may it be.